The chapel was silent. The kind of silence that hums in your ears and makes you feel like the world has stopped breathing. Maya Daniels stood at the front, her eyes fixed on the small white coffin resting on the altar. It was barely the length of her arm, delicate, almost unreal. It looked more like a toy box than a coffin. The stained glass windows behind her shimmered with dull morning light, but she couldn't see them. Everything was blurry through the numbness inside her. Her baby, Ava Grace Daniels, was gone. Or so everyone believed. The funeral had started just minutes ago. Soft organ music played. The priest was halfway through his blessing. Maya could barely hear his words. They floated above her head like smoke she couldn't catch. Her heart was beating in a strange, empty rhythm. Beside her stood Ray, her husband, stiff as a statue, hands clasped in front of him, lips pressed into a tight line. He hadn't cried. Not once. Not at the hospital. Not during the preparations. Not even now, as their baby was being mourned by dozens of family and friends. That silence from him should have spoken louder than words. But Maya couldn't focus on that. All she could think about was how wrong it all felt. 3 days ago, Ava had spiked a fever in the middle of the night. By the time they rushed her to St. Luke's Hospital, she was unresponsive. A doctor named Dr. Mehta had delivered the news 2 hours later. She didn't make it. Maya had screamed so loud her throat tore. She'd begged to see Ava. They'd let her in. Let her hold the cold, unmoving body. She remembered whispering songs into her ear, even though she wasn't breathing anymore. Ray had stood behind her. Quiet. Always quiet. Now they were here. The day no parent is meant to live through. Maya stepped forward to place something inside the coffin, a tiny knitted cap Ava had worn during her first night home. The cap was soft, light purple, handmade by Maya's mother. As she reached toward the lid, something happened. A sound. Barely audible. A whisper of movement. She paused. Was it in her head? Then, again. Thump. A soft bump. From inside the coffin. She froze, one hand still on the lid. Her breath caught. Her eyes snapped to Ray, but he hadn't moved. The priest stopped mid-sentence. Did you? Maya whispered. And then, one more time. This time unmistakable. A small, delicate movement from within. Gasps filled the room. A woman in the second row dropped her rosary. Someone screamed. The priest stumbled back. Maya didn't think, she reacted. Her trembling hands fumbled with the latch on the coffin. No, 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 please God, she whispered as it clicked open. Inside, wrapped in a soft white blanket, Ava's fingers twitched. Then her chest moved, barely. A quiet gasp escaped her tiny lips. Ava was breathing. Maya fell to her knees, crying and laughing at the same time. Oh my God, Ava, she sobbed, scooping her daughter into her arms. You're alive. You're alive. People screamed behind her. Phones were pulled out. A nurse attending the funeral rushed to check the baby's pulse. She's alive. She's really alive, someone shouted. Ray didn't move. He stood there, pale as snow, his eyes fixed on the baby like she wasn't a miracle, but a ghost. Maya didn't notice him. She was too busy clutching her baby against her chest, sobbing uncontrollably, rocking her as if she could anchor her back to life just by loving her enough. Call an ambulance, someone shouted. Get her to the hospital, now. 30 minutes later, St. Luke's Hospital, ER. Flashing lights. Screaming sirens. Chaos. Maya sat in the waiting area outside the emergency room, wrapped in a thin blanket, her fingers trembling uncontrollably. She didn't even realize she was still wearing black from the funeral. A nurse brought her water. She barely drank it. Her eyes were fixed on the double doors where they had taken Ava. A tall, calm-faced doctor with braided gray hair finally emerged. "She's stable," she said gently. "She's very weak, but she's breathing on her own now. We're going to keep her under observation for the next 24 hours. Maya let out a deep sob of relief. Her body nearly collapsed with the weight of it. She was dead," she whispered. "They said she was dead." The doctor's expression didn't change. But her voice grew lower. More cautious. "Mrs. Daniels, I need to ask you something important." Maya nodded, still shaking. "I've checked Ava's medical records. There's no death certificate. No signed paperwork. No discharge summary. There is no record that she was ever declared dead." Maya blinked. "What? No, that can't be right. Dr. Mehta told us. He said she died during the seizure." The doctor frowned. "Dr. Mehta? Are you sure?" "Yes. Indian man. Mid-40s. Thin-framed. Soft voice." The doctor nodded slowly. "Dr. Mehta hasn't worked at this hospital in over 3 months." Maya stared at her. Her mouth opened but nothing came out. I saw him. I spoke to him. I believe you. But he is no longer part of our staff. He resigned." Maya's heart pounded in her ears. "Ray." She turned. Her husband had been sitting silently beside her. "Ray," she said. He didn't answer. "Ray, say something." He stood. And without a word, he walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't say goodbye. Just left. 3 hours later, Maya's hospital room. Maya sat by Ava's bedside, watching her chest rise and fall with soft, shallow breaths. Machines beeped slowly. The nurse had dimmed the lights to let them rest. But rest wouldn't come. Maya couldn't stop thinking. Why did Ray just leave? Why hadn't he cried? Why did Dr. Mehta, who no longer worked at the hospital, pronounce Ava dead? How was there no paperwork? Had someone planned this? She shuddered at the thought. The idea was too twisted. Too cruel. But the silence of the room was unbearable. So she held Ava's tiny hand and whispered, "I'm not going to let anything happen to you ever again. I swear to you. No more lies. No more secrets." Her phone buzzed. She looked down. Unknown number. One message. "You were never supposed to open the casket." She stared at the words, her blood turning to ice. The phone slipped from her hand and clattered to the floor. Maya didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. Even after nurses had checked Ava a dozen times and assured her that the baby was safe, warm, and recovering steadily, Maya kept one hand on her daughter's crib, the other gripping her phone. She couldn't stop staring at the message. You were never supposed to open the casket. No name. No number she recognized. And worst of all, the sender never texted again. She replayed the day in her mind, over and over, hunting for some logical explanation. How could her baby be alive inside a coffin? How could a doctor who no longer worked at the hospital declare her dead? And why did Ray just walk away without a word? A new wave of panic crept into her bones. What if he'd known? What if the man she loved, the man she'd trusted with her life and their child's life, had been hiding something from the very beginning? 9:13 a.m., the next morning. Ray's phone went straight to voicemail. Maya had called 6 times already. She even tried his mother, his best friend Marcus, and his workplace. No one had heard from him. Not since the funeral. Her chest tightened with every unanswered call. A knock came on the hospital room door. She turned sharply, expecting a nurse. But it wasn't a nurse. It was a detective. He was in his mid-50s, gray suit, thinning hair, and a badge that read, Detective Alton Graves. "Mrs. Daniels," he said, his voice gentle but direct. "May I come in?" She stood up slowly. "Is this about Ava?" "Partly," he said. "And your husband?" That caught her off guard. "Ray? What about him?" The detective stepped in and closed the door behind him. He didn't sit. Instead, he held out a photo, a hospital surveillance still. It showed Ray. From 3 nights ago. Standing outside the hospital's rear entrance, with Dr. Mehta. Her stomach dropped. "I thought he didn't work here anymore." "He doesn't," the detective confirmed. "We've been trying to track Mehta for months. He disappeared after being linked to 2 suspicious infant deaths at another facility." Maya's knees gave out, and she sank into the chair. "2," she whispered. "Yes. And both cases were marked as sudden infant deaths, with incomplete medical records and no autopsy. Sound familiar?" She clutched Ava's baby blanket to her chest. "You think Ray, and Dr. Mehta, tried to make Ava one of those cases?" The detective hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "We're not jumping to conclusions. But your husband's phone was found abandoned this morning in a parking garage downtown. And he's gone." Maya shook her head. "No, that's not possible. He wouldn't, he couldn't." But the words tasted like ash in her mouth. She remembered how calm Ray had been at the hospital. How emotionless. How quickly he had walked away the moment things didn't go according to plan. And now, this. "Mrs. Daniels," the detective said, softer now. "Is there anything at all, that made you suspicious before Ava got sick?" She swallowed hard, thinking back. Yes. There was something. 1 month earlier, a flashback. She had come home from the store one afternoon and heard voices in the nursery. The door had been cracked open. Ray had been inside, speaking softly on the phone. "No, I told you, once it's done, we'll be clear. Just need her out of the way. No autopsy, no noise. It'll look natural." Then silence. When she walked in, he smiled too quickly and ended the call. She'd asked who it was. He said it was his cousin from Florida. She hadn't believed him, but she hadn't pushed. She wanted to believe he'd never say something like that. That she was just tired, stressed, hearing things wrong. But now that memory came back like a knife to the chest. "Oh my God," she whispered. He was planning it, even then. Back in the present. Maya stood up. Her legs were trembling, but she moved like a woman possessed. She turned to the detective. "I want to help you find him." He raised an eyebrow. "That's not usually how these conversations go." "I don't care. He tried to kill my baby. And he might not be working alone." The detective nodded. "We'll assign a guard outside your room in case he tries to return." But Maya was already picking up her coat. "No. I'm not waiting. I want to go back, to the house. To see what he left behind." 11:44 a.m., Maya's house. The place was still exactly as they had left it for the funeral. Flowers from neighbors wilting on the counter. Dishes still in the sink. The last bottle of formula sitting untouched. But something was off. The door to Ray's office, always locked, was slightly open. She pushed it gently. Inside, everything looked normal. At first. But then she saw it. A second phone, hidden behind a stack of old magazines. It was a cheap burner phone. Not Ray's usual model. She tapped the screen. It wasn't locked. Messages loaded instantly. And one thread was open. Unknown contact, you'll get the rest once it's done. She can't survive this. You understand what's at stake. Ray, she won't make it through the seizure. Meta's prepared. Unknown contact, good. And remember, no autopsy. No papers. Just grief. Her blood ran cold. Maya grabbed the phone and took pictures of every message. Then she opened the Photos app. There were images. One showed Ava, in a hospital bed, wires attached to her head, before she was even brought in for her final checkup. Another showed Ray, standing beside someone Maya had never seen before. A woman. Blonde. Tall. Smiling. The timestamp said, 4 days before Ava's death. She stared at the photo, her breath tightening. Who was this woman? And why was Ray with her before everything fell apart? Back at the hospital, that evening. Detective Graves paced the hallway when Maya returned. She handed him the burner phone. His expression changed immediately. This changes everything, he said. We'll trace the contact. And we'll find the woman. But as Maya sat back beside Ava, she felt no peace. Because something was still missing. The truth wasn't complete yet. 8:30 p.m., another message arrives. Her phone buzzed. Same unknown number as before. This time, just 2 words. She knows. No context. No name. And then, a photo attachment. Maya opened it. Her heart dropped. It was a picture, taken just seconds ago. Of her, in the hospital room, sitting beside Ava. Someone had taken it through the window. Someone was watching them. Right now. The picture haunted her. Maya couldn't tear her eyes away from it. There she was, sitting beside Ava's crib in the hospital room, one hand resting on her baby's belly, her body slightly bent forward as if shielding her child. And the photo had been taken from outside the window. Someone was watching them. Someone close enough to press their phone against the glass and capture that moment. She rose from the chair slowly, cautiously, her heart pounding against her ribs. She peered through the blinds. Nothing. Just the hospital garden, some shrubs, a narrow concrete path, and the sharp gleam of streetlights in the night fog. But Maya's gut screamed otherwise. She wasn't safe here. Ava wasn't safe here. 5 minutes later, Detective Graves' office. She's being watched, Maya said, placing the phone down in front of him. Her voice was steady, but the fire in her eyes was unmistakable. Graves studied the photo. Then the timestamp. Then her. Same number as the casket message, he asked. Yes. He nodded, picking up his desk phone. I'll increase the guards around the room and alert tech crimes. We'll trace it. Maya leaned in. I need to know who that woman is. Graves blinked. What woman? She pulled out her own phone and opened the photo she found on the burner device, the one showing Ray standing beside a tall, blonde woman in the hospital parking lot 4 days before Ava's death. Graves stared at it long and hard. You're sure this wasn't a patient or a visitor? She's not from our lives, Maya said firmly. I don't know her. But Ray, he looked comfortable with her. Maybe a colleague? Then why would the photo be on his secret phone? Graves didn't argue. He tapped on the screen. I'll run a facial recognition check. If she's in any database, we'll find her. Maya's voice dropped lower. I think she's the one sending the messages. Graves paused. That would mean she was at the funeral, and followed you here. Maya nodded. She's not just involved. She's watching everything. And I don't think she's done. Later that night, hospital room. Maya lay curled in the hospital cot next to Ava's crib, barely dozing. Every small noise made her jolt upright. Footsteps in the hallway. A distant elevator bell. A cart rolling by. The message hadn't been followed by another, yet. But the silence felt more dangerous than the threat. She got up around 2 a.m. and stepped into the hallway to grab some water. The hallway lights flickered slightly. 2 guards were stationed by the elevator, both nodded as she passed. But when she turned the corner toward the vending machines, she froze. A nurse stood there. Blonde hair. Tall. Pale green scrubs. But something was wrong. She wasn't wearing a name badge. And she was just standing still, staring at the vending machine. Not selecting anything. Not moving. Maya took a slow step back. The woman didn't turn. Maya quickly slipped back into the hallway and rushed to the nurse's station. There's a woman near the vending machine, she's not one of your staff. 2 nurses exchanged glances and got up immediately. But when they reached the corner, the woman was gone. The next morning, news from Graves. You were right, Detective Graves said, walking into her room with a file folder. She's not a nurse. Not on staff. Her name is Vanessa Cross, former pediatric nurse, fired for misconduct 2 years ago. Since then, she's been linked to a private medical transport company that was shut down after an investigation into missing infants in foster care. Maya nearly dropped her cup. Missing infants? Graves nodded grimly. It was a black market adoption ring. Babies declared unfit or deceased were being quietly smuggled out and sold. We suspect someone inside hospitals was helping, maybe several someones. Maya's throat felt dry. You think Ava was one of them? Graves opened the folder. And your husband, Ray, was listed as an independent consultant for that same transport company under a different name, Daniel Ross. Maya's knees buckled. She sank into the chair, shaking. He's not even who he said he was. Graves sat beside her. I think Ray was never just a father. I think he was part of something far bigger. I think he chose you for a reason. Maya could hardly breathe. Every memory, every laugh, every kiss, every time he held their daughter, felt poisoned now. This was all a setup? Graves didn't answer. He didn't have to. Flashback, 2 years ago. They met at a volunteer event at the children's hospital. Ray had been charming, attentive, said he'd lost his sister to a rare illness as a child and wanted to give back. He'd pursued her gently, carefully. Made her feel seen. Trusted. Within 6 months, they were married. Now, looking back, it was too fast. Too perfect. And Maya knew why. He needed a mother with a clean record. No close family. No suspicion. She'd been the perfect mark. And Ava had been the prize. Back in the present, Maya makes a decision. Maya stood over Ava's crib, her hands trembling but her voice clear. I'm not letting them come near you again. She turned to Graves. I want out of this hospital. Now. Quietly. Graves hesitated. You're safer here, with our security. No, she said. You said yourself, she was in the building. Wearing scrubs. They can blend in. I need to disappear before they try again. Graves studied her for a long second, then nodded. I can pull strings. Get you transferred to a private safe house. But you'll need to leave everything behind. Phones. Cards. ID. Maya didn't hesitate. I'll burn it all if I have to. That evening, escape. They moved in silence. Just past midnight. A decoy car left from the main entrance. Maya, Ava, and a female officer slipped through the loading dock. No lights. No phones. Just cold night air and adrenaline. Maya didn't look back once. New location, safe house cabin in the hills. The cabin was small. Simple. Secure. No internet. No cell signal. Only a landline that rang directly to Graves' office. The officer assigned to her, Detective Laney, calm and sharp, stayed close but not intrusive. Ava slept better here. And for the first time in days, Maya felt the edges of calm. Until the next morning. Maya's shocking discovery. While unpacking a blanket from the hospital, something hard clinked against her hand. She reached in and pulled out a USB drive. It had been tucked inside the hem of Ava's baby blanket. She hadn't seen it before. Didn't put it there. Was it Vanessa? Ray? Graves? She stared at it for a long time. Then plugged it into the cabin's offline laptop. One folder. Confession_video. She clicked. Ray's face filled the screen. Video transcript, partial. If you're seeing this, it means you found it before they did. Maya, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. I was recruited years ago. I didn't know what they were really doing at first. I thought I was helping place unwanted children into better homes. But then it changed. It became darker. Money was exchanged. Paperwork forged. Deaths faked. Ava was never supposed to be involved. I swear. But when they found out we had a healthy baby, they forced my hand. Threatened me. Said if I didn't cooperate, they'd take her anyway, and you. So I staged it. The seizure. The fake death. Meta helped. But then, something changed. Vanessa. She had her own plans. She doesn't just traffic babies, she kills the ones that don't sell. And she said Ava was too delicate for adoption. I tried to stop it. I swear to you. But I didn't have time. I thought once she was buried, no one would check. I thought it was over. But you opened the casket. And now, they'll come for you both. If you're smart, disappear. Burn this. And never trust anyone again. Maya's reaction. She slammed the laptop shut. Tears flooded her eyes, but they weren't just from pain now. They were from rage. He thought she would run. Hide? No. She was done being the victim. She picked up the landline and dialed Graves. We do this my way now, she said. I'm going to hunt them down. The storm outside was silent, but inside Maya's chest, thunder raged. She sat at the edge of the bed in the safe house, her eyes burning holes into the laptop bag where the USB now lay hidden again, a damning, trembling proof of what Ray had done. Of what Vanessa was still planning. She could have disappeared. Could have taken Graves' offer and slipped into a new life under a different name. She could have changed her face, moved to another continent, started over with Ava. But something in her wouldn't let her. That something had a voice now. And it whispered, they buried your baby alive. They don't deserve to breathe. A dangerous idea. Detective Laney poured herself a cup of black coffee in the kitchen, glancing at Maya through the open doorway. You haven't slept. Maya's voice was low but steady. I need to speak to Vanessa. Laney blinked. Excuse me? I want to draw her out. Laney crossed her arms. She's a killer. Not a barista. I know, Maya said. But people like her always think they're smarter than everyone else. She wants control. She thinks I'm scared. I'm going to prove her wrong. You think she'll walk into a trap? Maya met her eyes. I think she's already watching. So let's give her something to watch. The bait. 3 hours later, a new social media post went up on an account Maya hadn't touched since Ava's birth. It was simple. Quiet. Looked casual. Camera with flash photo, a pair of baby socks beside a lakeside cabin window. Caption, safe now. Starting over. Just us two. It was a message. Not to friends. Not to family. To Vanessa. And Vanessa, Maya believed, would come. Backroom strategy with Graves. Detective Graves arrived at the safe house just before midnight. "You sure about this?" he asked Maya. "I'm past sure. I'm angry." Graves placed a thick file down on the table. "Vanessa's got aliases in 5 states. Her last known identity was tied to a real estate company in Ohio, and that company owns a lake cabin 15 minutes from here." Maya's eyes narrowed. "She's close?" Graves nodded. "She's always one step ahead. Until now." Maya opened the folder. Inside were photos of missing infants, unmarked paperwork, names she didn't recognize, but one name leapt off the page. Isabel Torres. Age, 2 months. Status, declared deceased. "Who is she?" Maya asked. "She was one of Ava's hospital roommates in NICU, died during transport. Or that's what they claimed." Maya's stomach turned. "And her mother?" "Never found. Last contact was weeks before the death. We think they staged it like yours, but went through with it." Maya ran her hand through her hair, her heart crashing in her chest. "I'm not just going after Vanessa anymore," she whispered. "I'm going to burn the whole operation to the ground. The trap is set." The next morning, Maya took Ava and Lainey for a staged walk around the cabin trails, pretending to be carefree. Ava giggled in her stroller. Maya smiled through gritted teeth. She felt it. Someone was watching. Eyes on her. Just like at the hospital. Later, she left a window cracked, accidentally, and the back gate unlatched. Lainey pretended to doze on the front porch, her badge tucked away. A second officer waited in a van down the road. Maya stayed close to Ava. And she waited. Midnight, the uninvited guest. The sound was so soft, Maya almost missed it, a faint creak of floorboards inside the kitchen. Then, silence. She turned off the baby monitor, slipped out of the bedroom, and reached into the drawer beneath the crib where Graves had hidden a stun gun. Footsteps padded through the hallway. Closer. Maya's heart thundered. She stepped out of the dark, and came face to face with Vanessa Cross. No disguise. No nurse's outfit. Just a long black coat, leather gloves, and cold blue eyes that didn't blink. "Well," Vanessa said softly. "You made it easy." Maya lifted the stun gun. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." But Vanessa only smiled. "No. You don't." Then, with one swift move, she lunged. The fight. Maya struck first, a jolt from the stun gun into Vanessa's arm. The older woman screamed, but not in pain, in fury. She swung wildly, knocking Maya to the floor. The two women grappled, crashing into the table, the wall, the baby gate. Ava began crying in the other room. "You left her to die." Maya screamed, landing a punch to Vanessa's cheek. "And you did it for money." Vanessa snarled. "You think it's about money? It's about control. The world is crawling with throwaways. I gave them purpose. You buried my child alive. And yet, here you are. Stronger. Don't pretend like that wasn't your turning point." Suddenly, the door burst open. Lainey tackled Vanessa to the floor, cuffing her in seconds. Maya stood, breathless, bleeding from a cut on her arm, trembling but unbroken. Vanessa hissed from the floor, "This isn't over." Maya leaned down, her voice like steel. "Oh, it's just beginning." The confession. Back at headquarters, Vanessa refused to talk, until Maya walked in. "She's the mother," Graves warned her. "You don't have to do this." Maya shook her head. "I need to." Inside the interrogation room, Vanessa sat smugly. "I warned you not to open the casket," she said. "And now I know why." Maya slid a printed copy of the photo across the table, the one from the burner phone. "Who took this?" Vanessa stared. Didn't blink. Maya pressed on. "It wasn't just Ray. Who else? Who's running this?" Vanessa's smile faltered, just a crack. "You're brave," she said. "But bravery without backup is suicide." "Then tell me what you're afraid of," Maya said. "Because it's not me, is it?" Vanessa's expression changed. For the first time, fear flickered across her face. "There are people behind this who don't go to jail," she whispered. "People who wear suits and send orders through judges, not criminals." "Names," Maya said. "Give them to me." Vanessa leaned forward. "They'll kill me. And then they'll come for you." Maya stood, voice calm. "Let them try." The leak. One day later, Maya sent everything to a journalist she trusted from college: the full story, the USB files, the confessions, the photos. By dawn, the story had gone viral. Mother opens baby's casket at funeral, what she found exposes darkest black market scandal in U.S. history. The hospital board denied all knowledge. But investigations exploded. The FBI took over. And quietly, 3 hospital executives resigned in 24 hours. Ray's return, shocking twist. Maya stood on the cabin porch 2 nights later, rocking Ava gently in her arms. The baby was finally calm. A rustling in the woods made her body stiffen. She turned. And from the trees stepped Ray. Thin. Pale. His clothes soaked with mud. Hands raised. "Maya," he croaked. "Please. Don't scream." Lainey emerged from the cabin with her gun raised. "Freeze." Maya's voice was cold as stone. "Why are you here?" "I ran," he said. "But not from you. From them. They tried to kill me when they saw your post go viral. I had nowhere left to hide." Lainey moved forward to cuff him, but Maya raised a hand. "Wait." She looked Ray in the eye. "You helped bury your daughter alive." Tears spilled from his eyes. "I didn't know they'd really do it. They told me she'd be sedated. That it was reversible. They lied." Maya stepped forward slowly. "Then prove you're not lying now." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a second USB. "This has everything," he said. "Names. Videos. Bank transfers. The man in charge." Maya took it, her hand trembling. "Pray you're telling the truth," she said. "Because if you're not, I'll bury you next time." Maya hadn't slept since Ray returned. The USB he handed over sat untouched on the desk. Graves was already en route to collect it with a federal data recovery team. But Maya hadn't waited. The moment Ray passed it to her, she'd made a copy. Because if what Ray claimed was true, that this USB held names, locations, and transactions, then the enemy wasn't just a hidden villain in the shadows anymore. He had a name. And she was going to say it out loud before the night ended. The data drop. An hour later, in a secure government lab, a team of analysts huddled around glowing monitors, whispering in shock as files loaded in real time. Bank statements. Offshore accounts. Medical transfers. Emails between high-ranking officials and private clinics. Even internal memos marked confidential from one of the country's largest adoption foundations. But the most damning evidence came in a single video file. Maya sat silently beside Graves, clutching Ava to her chest as the clip played. Video log, time-stamped 11 weeks before Ava's death. The camera was hidden, security-style, high in the corner of a sleek, glass-paneled boardroom. Inside stood a man in a tailored navy suit, late 50s, silver hair, confident posture. Ray sat across from him. Meta stood near the door, looking small in the corner. The man in the suit was speaking. "If the Daniels baby tests clean, she's ours." Quietly. "No paperwork. The mother will grieve, of course, but there are ways to dull grief." Ray's voice shook. "And the child? Where will she go?" "To a private family overseas. Wealthy. The child will want for nothing." Meta interrupted. "And the risk?" "Minimal. You'll be paid double. No names. No blood. Just clean, painless disappearance." Then the man turned, looking directly into the camera, unaware he was being recorded. And Maya gasped aloud. Because she knew that face. The mastermind, Senator Charles Whitmore. The name hit the news like a bomb. Senator Charles Whitmore, U.S. Senator, children's health advocate, founder of multiple adoption nonprofits. To the world, he was a hero. To Maya, he was the man who tried to erase her daughter like she was a file on a hard drive. The news anchors choked on their scripts. Protests broke out overnight. And Maya? Maya didn't stop to celebrate. Because she knew the most dangerous animal is the one cornered. And Whitmore was cornered now. A phone call from a monster. The cabin landline rang the next morning. Only Graves had that number. Maya picked it up, expecting him. But the voice that spoke wasn't Graves. It was calm. Controlled. Cold. "I have something that belongs to you, Mrs. Daniels." Her heart stopped. "Who is this?" "Charles Whitmore. Though I suppose you know that by now." Her hand tightened around the receiver. "I swear, if you come near Ava again." "I don't need to. I already have someone else." She froze. "Your mother, perhaps?" "No. I believe she lives in a small flat near the Eastbridge ferry terminal. Alone. No cameras. No security." Maya's body went ice cold. "You're bluffing." "Am I? Do you want to find out?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "What do you want?" "Come alone. No police. No Graves. No child. Just you. At the address I'll text. You have 2 hours." Click. The line went dead. Decision of a lifetime. Graves was already on his way when Maya ran to meet him at the bottom of the hill. "I have to go alone," she told him. "No way. He's baiting you. My mother could die if I don't. This isn't a choice. It's a sentence." Graves clenched his jaw. "You step into that meeting and he'll never let you walk out again. Then give me a reason to survive it." He stared at her. Then handed her a small mic and tracker, disguised in a silver locket. "Press the center if things go bad. We'll be 10 minutes behind." The final meeting, the Lion's Den. The address was an abandoned church on the edge of town. Ivy crawled up the crumbling stone walls, and the stained glass windows were shattered. Maya walked through the cracked wooden doors at exactly 6:58 p.m. Whitmore stood alone near the altar, hands clasped behind his back like a priest delivering a sermon. "You showed. I'm here. Let her go." Whitmore smiled faintly. "She's fine. For now." Maya stepped closer, eyes blazing. "You destroyed lives. For profit." "I saved lives," he said smoothly. "Children born into poverty. Addiction. Misery. I gave them a chance with families who could give them more. By stealing them? By correcting the system. Maya's voice shook with rage. You left my baby to die. And yet she lives. You should be grateful. She pulled the locket from around her neck and threw it at his feet. They'll be here soon. The world will watch you fall. Whitmore didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped forward and whispered. You think this ends with me? He gestured to the broken pews, the ruined altar. This is just a church. But there are places across the world where babies vanish without question. Countries that pay in gold. I am a name. A face. Replaceable. Maya stepped closer. Then I'll burn your replacements too. Suddenly, movement behind her. Two men emerged from the shadows, grabbing her arms. Whitmore nodded at them. Take her outside. Make it quiet. But before they could move, the church doors crashed open. Graves. Laney. Federal agents. Shouting. Chaos. Flashlights. One of the men grabbed Maya tighter, trying to use her as a shield. She elbowed him hard, just as Graves fired. The man dropped. Laney tackled the second. Whitmore raised his hands, smiling. Proof I never laid a hand on her. Maya walked up to him. Face to face. And slapped him across the cheek. This isn't about your hands, she said. It's about your rot. Justice begins. Whitmore was arrested on the spot. Charged with conspiracy, trafficking, endangerment, and murder. His secret ring unraveled within 72 hours. Meta was captured in Mexico. Vanessa faced 25 years. Ray accepted a plea deal to testify against the others. Maya's mother was found unharmed, tied up but alive, locked in a farmhouse 2 hours north. The case was called the Ava Daniels investigation. The country watched in horror. And Maya? She watched something else. Her baby taking her first steps in the hospital rehab garden. It had been 94 days since Maya opened the casket. 94 days since her world cracked open and spilled secrets into her lap like blood on cold marble. Now, dressed in black slacks and a simple cream blouse, Maya Daniels walked into the federal courtroom, not as a victim, not as a widow, not as a mother clinging to grief. But as a witness. A fighter. And the only reason hundreds of children were still breathing today. She glanced down the aisle where Ava sat quietly in Laney's lap, chewing on a plush bunny. Ava giggled and kicked her legs as Maya passed. That small sound, that life, kept Maya grounded. Because what she was about to do would rip open the last wound. And expose the final traitor. The trial begins. The prosecution wasted no time. Images of infants in hospital cribs. Email exchanges. Audio clips of Senator Whitmore discussing market value. Financial records with blood on the balance sheets. Each piece, a dagger in the heart of the powerful. And then came Maya. She walked to the stand with no lawyer beside her. She didn't need one. Her story had already changed the law. They said my baby died, she said, voice steady but filled with ache. But I heard her cry in that casket. They buried her breathing. They wrote her off. And I opened the box. Gasps. Journalists scribbled. Some in the crowd wiped tears. She's alive. And I'm alive. But hundreds weren't that lucky. So I'm not here to cry. I'm here to testify for the mothers who never got to open the box. Her words were everywhere by sundown. Hashtag she opened the box trended across the world. Ava's word, a light in the storm. That night, back at the safe house, Maya rocked Ava slowly, humming the lullaby she hadn't sung since before the funeral. Her arms ached with exhaustion. Her voice cracked. But she was safe. Ava was warm. And then, a tiny voice broke the silence. Mama. Maya froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Mama, Ava said again, reaching up, tiny fingers brushing her mother's jaw. Tears poured down Maya's cheeks. Not from sadness. But because this time, she got to hear her baby speak. The letter from prison. 3 days before sentencing, Maya received a letter. Return address, Federal Detention Center. Sender, Raymond Daniels. She nearly tossed it. But curiosity, or closure, made her open it. The letter was handwritten. Maya. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even deserve this paper. But I need you to know something before the court seals my mouth forever. I loved her. I did. But I loved myself more. I was weak. Greedy. I let fear guide me. The day you opened that casket, I saw what I was. And I hated it, asterisk. You were never a target, Maya. You were the only good thing I ever knew. Please raise her to forget me. But don't let her forget how hard you fought. I'm sorry. Ray. She folded the letter in half. Then burned it in the sink. Some apologies didn't deserve to stay alive. The final betrayal. 2 days before Whitmore's sentencing, Maya sat with Graves reviewing her statement when Laney, her protector, her shadow, came in with a stack of files. She seemed off. Eyes too calm. Smile too tight. And when Graves left to answer a call, Laney leaned closer. You should have run when you had the chance. Maya blinked. What? Laney placed something on the table. A small vial. Of morphine. You think the arrest stopped it? You think Whitmore was the king? She whispered. He was a decoy. A mirror. I was there the day Ava died. I watched you bury her. I let you dig her up. Maya's stomach turned. You worked for them? Laney smiled. I still do. Before she could move, Maya flipped the chair backward and lunged for the door. Laney grabbed her sleeve, but Maya sank her nails into her wrist and shoved her into the desk. Papers scattered. The morphine rolled under the table. Maya ran, yelling Graves' name down the hallway. Seconds later, alarms blared. Officers tackled Laney just as she reached for her ankle holster. Laney's interrogation. Hours later, under questioning, Laney finally cracked. She wasn't just an agent. She was inherited from a former division corrupted by the same network. Her job was to keep Maya close. Track her. Silence her if needed. And she had backup. A judge. A social worker. A detective. Graves flinched at that. He hadn't known. But now the war was real. The sentencing, a nation watches. Senator Whitmore stood before the court with his head bowed, flanked by federal guards. Maya sat in the front row, holding Ava tight. The judge read the charges, then the sentence. Life in federal prison without parole. Plus 300 years across 67 counts. The courtroom erupted. Reporters scrambled to get the story out. Survivors cried. Parents hugged. And Whitmore? He turned once. Looked at Maya. And smiled. A final threat. But she didn't blink. She smiled back, as if to say, you don't scare me anymore. 1 year later, a new beginning. The sun painted the grass gold as Maya walked Ava through the park. The child giggled, now a walking, talking, unstoppable 2-year-old. Maya was stronger now. Clearer. She'd written a memoir. Helped pass a national child protection bill. Created a foundation in Ava's name. She had scars. But they told a story. She had nightmares. But they made her wiser. And every morning, when Ava ran into her arms yelling, "Mama!" Maya remembered the casket. Not with pain. But with gratitude. Because not every grave means death. Sometimes, it's where a new life is born. Final lines. She was supposed to lose everything. But instead, she opened the box, and found her purpose. And now, the world knows, you can bury a child. But you can't bury the truth.